number 10 spot, we have the mysterious beam. Pretty recently, scientists explained that they captured a mysterious beam of energy that was coming from the star that is the closest known star to the Sun, Proxima Centauri. This star is small and low mass and is located around 4.2 light years away from us. The thing about this star is that it has one rocky exoplanet that is 17% larger than Earth in its habitable zone, which would make liquid water a possibility on the planet. This planet's habitability has been disputed throughout the years, but this signal could be a sign that it may be even more habitable than any of us know. Scientists explained that the signal shifted while it was being observed, which mimicked the shift caused by a movement of a planet. They're taking extra precautions to figure out what exactly caused this shift in case it was some sort of mundane source. It will, of course, take some time to figure out, but it's all very exciting. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Venus cloud. Last year in September of 2020, astrobiologists everywhere were excited and skeptical of some new potential evidence that had been found in the upper clouds of Venus. Firstly, can we just take a second to really think about how cool of a job an astrobiologist has? Anyway, the new findings were pointing to the potential of the presence of phosphine in the clouds. Phosphine is a rare and usually poisonous gas that on Earth is basically always met with the presence of living organisms. Venus hasn't really been top of the list of choices for finding potential life due to its surface temperature and pressure and the sulfuric acid clouds, but this evidence could prove to say something otherwise. 2 separate telescopes were able to pick up the signatures of phosphine in a cloud that had a similar temperature and pressure to Earth, and while this isn't concrete evidence of space bugs, it will at least be a reminder that we should be continuing to look for life even in the most unlikely places. And hey, maybe it is space bugs. In our number 8 spot today, we have Uma. Okay, so this is one piece of evidence that actually has scientists fighting over what is going on with it. So a few years ago, scientists all agreed that we had found an object that was flying through our solar system, and they called it Uma, and it was widely agreed that it was an interstellar comet that had swung out from around another star. But upon closer examination, they realized that something was propelling it and causing it to accelerate, and this is when the debate started, because they just don't know why. Avi Loeb, who's a Harvard University astrophysicist, proposed the idea that rather than a comet, this could be an alien probe that is being pushed by a light sail, which is a very wide but extremely thin piece of material that accelerates by being pushed by solar radiation. Other scientists didn't agree with this and instead said that it's possible that hydrogen ice could have melted off of the object in a way that would mimic a rocket engine or something of that nature, but in August of last year, Avi wrote in a study that hydrogen ice is too easily heated and it would have melted off long before it reached our solar system. I guess we just have to wait it out while the scientists debate and gather more evidence to really know what's going on behind this one. In our number 7 spot today, we have the NASA Viking experiment. This is one of the more debated ones on today's list, but that does not mean it isn't evidence. In 1976, NASA's Viking landers tested the soil on Mars and found some chemicals that could be attributed to signs of life. The soil was mixed with radioactive carbon-labeled nutrients and then tested for the production of radioactive methane gas. The test ended up receiving a positive result, which could indicate that something in the soil is metabolizing the nutrients to produce the gas. Despite further efforts, there still hasn't been any life found, but one of the scientists who worked on this original project, and others as well, stand by what they found and argued that the technology at the time wasn't advanced enough to find the key evidence of life. Hopefully with the new Perseverance rover that landed recently, we'll be able to find the signs on Mars that we have been looking for. In our number 6 spot today, we have black holes. When we think of black holes, we usually think of how absolutely terrifying they are, but that may be changing. There has actually been the discovery of a planet that is floating around a black hole. The forces around the hole are also providing heat for the planet as well, but there is one catch, and that is the fact that the planet needs to orbit at the speed of light. This would mean that a second on that planet would be hours on ours, which is kind of difficult to comprehend. The planet would have to be in what is called the Goldilocks zone though, because if it's too far from the black hole, it'll be too cold and there won't be any liquid water, but if it's too close, it will of course be sucked into the black hole by the gravity gravitational forces. It's definitely a pretty crazy idea, but it is possible that there could be some life in this situation. In our number 5 spot today, we have fossilized microbes. Another piece of controversial evidence that came from Mars was announced in 1996. NASA scientists announced that they had potentially found what appeared maybe fossilized microbes in a lump of Martian rock. It is likely that this rock came off during some sort of Mars collision and just casually floated around the solar system for 15 million years before landing in Antarctica in 1984. Just casual space stuff. After analyzing the rock, it was revealed that it contained organic molecules and small specks of mineral magnetite, which is sometimes found in the bacteria on Earth. And upon further analysis with an electron microscope, it was claimed that there were signs of nanobacteria. Since then, some claim that the magnetite wasn't that similar to those found in bacteria, and there is a belief that the signs of nanobacteria could have been grown in a lab. In our number 4 spot today, we have UFO footage. Remember last year when the Navy released footage of UFOs, but we were in a global pandemic, so we didn't really have time to freak out about it? Well, let's freak out about it now, because what the heck was captured on those videos? The US Navy released footage last year where they had captured video of some sort of wingless aircraft that was traveling at hypersonic speed. Of course, people are wary to believe that this is true signs of alien life and alien visitors, but the thing is, we simply just don't really know what this is. We know it's not something that is known to us yet, so this could definitely be a sign of some sort of alien life, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see. In our number 3 spot today, we have this bacterial experiment. So we've talked a bit on today's list about how we tend to think of life only being able to exist on other planets that are similar to ours with a similar atmosphere within a certain distance of a star, but we've also discussed how this more narrow thinking might not be the best scenario. On Earth, most living creatures require oxygen to live, but the problem with a lot of planets is that there's far more hydrogen and helium. Last year, scientists decided to take 2 different bacteria. One was E. coli, which can be found in the guts of humans, and ordinary yeast, which is used in things like bread and beer. With these 2 bacteria, they tried to see if they could live in different environments. When placed within flasks that contained either pure hydrogen or pure helium, they still managed to grow, just at a slower pace. This evidence goes to show that there might be living organisms that we haven't found yet because we are just looking in the wrong places. In our number 2 spot today, we have the fact that they might have died off. This one is a bit disappointing, to be honest, but it basically is just a theory that it's probably pretty likely that there were aliens at some point, but since the universe is so old, they might have already died out. All life and cultures rise and fall, and researchers put together a model last year that would give more insight into the likelihood of this theory. They took things into account like sun-like stars that are not too close or too far from planets that are similar to Earth, as well as how frequently there are deadly radiation blasting supernovas, which of course would prove to be a huge problem for life forms, as well as the time that it takes for intelligent life to evolve, provided all the conditions are right. And once the evolution has taken place, how long would it take for a tool-bearing form of life to then destroy itself? That's a lot of factors to consider, and through all of this, it was found that the highest likelihood of life before ours in the Milky Way emerged around 5.5 billion years ago, which would place that before our planet was even formed. This, of course, would have provided plenty of time for all of the events I just mentioned to have occurred. I hope this one isn't true, because I really do hope that there are aliens out there. In our number 1 spot today, we have Europa. One of Jupiter's moons, called Europa, has a red tinge to it, and in 2001, NASA scientists revealed that it's possible that alien microbes might be responsible for the red color. The surface of the moon is mostly ice, but it has been shown that it reflects infrared radiation in a bizarre way. This means that something is binding it together, but researchers haven't been able to come up with the correct combination of elements and compounds to make the data make sense. There are some bacteria on Earth that can thrive in extreme conditions and that also have a red and brown color, which could potentially be responsible for the color on this moon. The surface temperature might be too cold for them to survive, but the warmer interior might be where they are located. Some geological activity on the moon could then push them closer to the surface, where they are then flash frozen in place. Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot, we have the pink see-through Fantasia. While the name of these guys would kind of make someone think that they're like cool and sexy, in reality these guys are Definitely not that. The pink see-through Fantasia is a sea cucumber normally found about 1.5 miles deep in the waters of the Celebes Sea, which is located in the western Pacific. These guys were actually discovered only quite recently in 2007, but there's something about them that might either prove that they've been here for much longer, or maybe they had quite the chance to develop their survival skills somewhere else. These guys are able, when frightened, to emit a light through bioluminescence in order to scare off potential predators. This animal of course gets its name through its see-through appearance and pink color, and this is what makes their intestines completely visible to the outside world. In our number 9 spot today we have the vampire squid. The scientific name of these creatures directly translates into vampire squid from hell, and they get their name from their fantastic red color, their glowing eyes, and their webbing in between the arms, which appears as a sort of cloak. Well, that's where the vampire part comes from. The squid part is a little trickier. While the vampire squid shares quality with both squid and octopuses, they don't actually belong to either of these families, and they are instead in a category of their own entirely. In the past, there were more members in this same family, but the vampire squid is now the last remaining member, which is why they are often referred to as a living fossil. In our number 8 spot today we have the leafy sea dragon. These are a creature that are definitely one of the coolest looking on this list. A lot of weird sea creatures tend to look absolutely horrifying, but these ones are most definitely a little easier on the eyes. These fish belong to the family that includes pipefish and seahorses, but they are the only species in their genus. The leafy sea dragon is most commonly found along the southern and western coasts of Australia, and they are very obviously named from their appearance. It would seem as though these guys would use these leafy protrusions to help propel them through the water, but that is not the case, and instead they are merely used as camouflage. These sea dragons are usually quite solitary, but they also have an incredible sense of direction. It was once thought that they didn't travel very far, but it was later discovered that they actually travel several hundred miles, but use this keen sense of direction to return to the same spots, which is actually very cool. In our number 7 spot today we have the fossil monster. Okay, so as the name would suggest, this isn't a still living creature, and instead is one that has been found in a fossil. These fossils pertaining to one particular creature have only been found in one spot, and they come from a time about 300 million years ago when what is now Illinois was covered in water. Found in the Mason Creek fossil beds, they have found the fossils of an animal called Tullymonstrum gregarium, or simply the Tully monster. What is so unique about these fossils from this creature, other than the fact that it lived 300 million years ago, which is wild, is that attempts at classifying this creature have been highly controversial. Interpretations of this fossil have been likened to mollusks, arthropods, conodonts, worms, and vertebrates. It is super weird that this creature, with fossils located in only one place from 300 million years ago, is super hard to classify because it has a bunch of different attributes that could be placed in a number of different animal classes. I'm not saying it's an alien, I'm just saying it's a little mysterious. In our number 6 spot today we have the mimic octopus. Octopuses in general are all insane. Like, I fully believe that basically all of them could be from another planet because I just don't understand how they look like that, how they're all so smart, and how they can individually use their little suckers. I don't know. They're just fascinating creatures, and the mimic octopus is no exception. These guys are normally found in the Indo-Pacific, and they get their name from their unbelievable ability to use chromatophores to blend in with their surroundings, or perhaps to impersonate another marine animal. Most of the time they use this ability to defend themselves from predators, but they can also be seen using it to help them catch their prey. For example, they might appear as a crab's potential mate before they chomp down on their certainly confused and surprised tasty snack. In our number 5 spot today we have the peacock mantis shrimp. I mean, need I say more? These guys can be found in the Indian and tropical western Pacific Oceans, and man are they a wondrous sight. They get their peacock name from their fantastic colors, but despite how awesome these candy-colored shrimp are to look at, this actually isn't what they are known best for. These guys are actually best known for their ability to quickly punch with their front 2 appendages, and despite their tiny size, don't underestimate their power. Apparently, this punch is one of the fastest movements in the entire animal kingdom. In fact, it's so fast that it causes enough power to be able to break the glass wall of an aquarium. I mean, they definitely know how to pack a punch. Luckily, they usually save this sort of thing to break open mollusks and help them get through a crab's armor. In our number 4 spot today, we have the colossal squid. The colossal squid is a creature that is not to be confused with the giant squid, which is similar but slightly smaller. These guys live in the darkest, coldest depths surrounding the waters of Antarctica. This creature lives up to its name as it reaches an average of 46 feet in size, and it weighs around 500 kilograms, with the females being the largest of the species. They also have large tentacles equipped with suckers that have little razor hooks on them to better latch onto its prey, so let's hope it's not you. Its diet mainly consists of large fish, such as the 7-foot Patagonian toothfish. It also includes small ones, and sometimes they even consume their own kind. But they've also been known to try and consume larger prey, like sperm whales, who often have been seen with scars attributing to the battles they must have faced. They're colossal, they're scary, and they're ambitious. What more could you want from a sea monster? Only 2 specimens have ever been collected, with the second being found recently in 2014. If you ever wondered where the tales of the Kraken came from, you now know. In our number 3 spot today, we have the predatory tunicate. Okay, say what you want about any other fish on this list today, but these guys definitely look the most like aliens, and honestly, they are the epitome of deep sea weirdness. The predatory tunicate is like the Venus flytrap of the deep sea. They start out life kind of like tadpoles, and then they swim until they find their perfect spot, either along a canyon wall or right on the sea floor. Once they found their spot, they plant themselves in place using a natural adhesive that they produce. Once planted, they will undergo a huge change, and this is where they will stay for the rest of their lives. They are super picky about where exactly they make their homes because it will be where they stay, and because they need to make sure that both the chemicals in the water in that area as well as the temperature of the water is just right. Unfortunately, if these guys get moved from the location they choose to make their home, they will die, so it's imperative that they're just left alone. They basically wait for food to drift on by, and like a Venus flytrap, when they get their meal, their mouths will snap shut until they're done digesting. The predatory tunicate is a point of study in the medical world because they actually have been known to help with some more serious medical conditions, which is always an incredible thing. In our number 2 spot today, we have the sea pen. Okay, this thing under the sea looks a lot like a pen, right? Well, the orange sea pen is not a pen, and it's not even a sort of plant. It's actually a colony of animals that can withdraw into the soft sediment wherever it is found. So I just heard of these guys today, but it turns out they are a lot more common, and there are actually about 300 species of sea pens. To make them even more out of this world, it is said that with a little stimulation, they glow with a green sort of light. So I don't know about you, but that's the most alien thing I've ever heard. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Yeti crab. Okay, I'll be honest, these guys are on this list today because they look so incredibly strange, but they are also remarkably unique. These furry clawed crabs, yes, you heard me, they were first discovered 5,000 feet deep in the ocean near a hydrothermal vent. They were found just south of Easter Island, and when found, it was realized that they were not only in a new genus of their own, but a new family as well. Because of the deep, dark, and extreme environment that these guys live in, not much about them is known at this point in time. It is believed that they likely don't have sight, and it's also thought that they might have a sort of bacteria that resides in its furry claws, which allows it to detoxify the food that is coming from the vent. Listen, the ocean is scary, but it's also unbelievable and truly incredible. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have meteorite ALH 84001. In 1984, there was the discovery of a meteorite that had landed in Antarctica. This meteorite was a piece of Martian rock that had been blasted off of the surface of the red planet after some sort of collision, and it wandered the solar system for a cool 15 million years before it came hurtling down to Earth to be discovered by scientists. This is already pretty cool, but what's cooler is that in 1996, NASA scientists announced that they had found what appeared to be fossilized microbes in the rock. Analysis of the rock showed that it contained organic molecules and tiny specks of mineral magnetite, which can sometimes be found in the bacteria here on Earth. It was also said that underneath an electron microscope, the scientists found signs of nanobacteria. This piece of evidence has been quite controversial, with some scientists bringing up alternative to these key pieces of evidence. Some experts have argued that the magnetite wasn't actually similar to those found in Earth bacteria, and that the organic molecules were just contaminants from Earth, which is a fair argument. At At the end of the day, we aren't exactly sure if this is proof or not, but the good news is that the Perseverance rover on Mars might finally be able to give us the answers to these questions. In our number 9 spot today, we have Dr. Richard Hoover. For around 2 decades, Dr. Richard Hoover has been studying meteorites that were found in Antarctica, and in 2011 he claimed that he and his team had found evidence of ancient bacteria from colonies that thrived on comets, moons, and other planets. The astrobiologist said that they were able to make this discovery through the use of the most advanced microscanning technology in the entire world. Dr. Hoover sliced open these meteorites and discovered what they called remains of cyanobacteria, also known as blue-green algae. This type of algae is said to have a unique quality and the ability to thrive even in some of the most harshest conditions, which is necessary when talking about surviving the extreme environment some other planets hold, as well as just space in general. Dr. Hoover said that while some of the bacteria he had found was similar to those on Earth, he said that some of the others were completely alien. He said, quote, "Neither I nor other experts who have seen the evidence have any idea what these creatures might be. I do believe these findings indicate that life is not restricted to Earth, but is broadly distributed, even outside our solar system," end quote. In our number 8 spot today, we have a fossil graveyard. In July of this year, in the Cotswold region of the UK beneath a limestone quarry, researchers made a fascinating discovery. Paleontologists uncovered a huge fossil graveyard of squiggly, alien-like Jurassic-era creatures. Like, what? These fossils included tens of thousands of these marine invertebrates, and they were all preserved at different stages in their life cycle. Talk about a scientific jackpot. It appeared as though these creatures lived at a time when they were absolutely thriving, until something happened. It isn't clear exactly what this event was, but perhaps it was some sort of mudslide that was triggered by an earthquake, but either way it ended up suffocating and entombing all of these creatures for 167 million years until they could be found by these paleontologists. I know these were clearly Earth creatures and not actually aliens, but these distant relatives of the creatures that currently exist on Earth truly do seem like aliens to us now. In our number 7 spot today, we have a fossil monster. These fossils pertaining to one particular creature have only been found in one spot, and that is in the Mason Creek fossil beds of Illinois. Here they have found the fossils of an animal called Tulamonstrum gregarium, or simply the Tully monster. This animal is said to have lived 300 million years ago in the shallow waters that covered Illinois. What is so unique about these fossils from this creature, other than the fact that it lived 300 million years ago, which is wild, is that attempts at classifying this creature have been highly controversial. Interpretations of this fossil have been likened to mollusks, arthropods, conodonts, worms, and vertebrates. It is super weird that this creature with fossils located in only one place from 300 million years ago is super hard to classify because it has a bunch of different attributes that could be placed in a number of different animal classes. I'm not saying it's an alien, I'm just saying it's a little mysterious. In our number 6 spot today, we have Curiosity. NASA's Curiosity rover is one of the rovers sent to Mars to explore the red planet we want to know so much about. Curiosity has taken photos that have been extremely helpful to the scientists here on Earth, but some of those photos are more intriguing than others when it comes to the search for alien life. One batch of these photos, when looked at by researcher Barry de Gregorio, piqued his interest. He explained that the objects in the photos looked extremely similar to the Ordovician trace fossils he had studied and photographed here on Earth. He went on to ask the question, if not trace fossils, what other geological explanations could NASA come up with? These stick-like features he is talking about were first spotted in black and white photos taken by Curiosity, and they were so interesting that they sent the rover back to take a second look. What do you guys think? Do you think we'll one day find life on Mars, or do you think it is hiding somewhere else in the universe? Let me know down below in the comments. Maybe we'll be the one to find aliens. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Gale Crater. The Gale Crater on Mars has been the focus of study for a long time, as it is believed that this crater once held water. Many scientists have speculated that this may be a location that did and possibly still could hold a watery environment conducive to life. Over 3,000 photographs taken by NASA's Curiosity rover were examined by a team of 14 experts in astrobiology, astrophysics, biophysics, geobiology, microbiology, algae, fungi, and fossils. This team published a controversial report which stated that they had found proof of life on Mars in these photos. Dr. Rudolf Schlid, who is said to be a Harvard-Smithsonian astrophysicist, wrote, quote, "We discovered Martian formations resembling Metazoan fossils and observed hundreds of specimens which closely resemble algae and dimpled lichens attached to mudstones." End quote. The report that this team published has been controversial because of the fact that it was determined from photos rather than actual samples here on Earth, but at the end of the day, any kind of sign and any kind of possibility is rather exciting. Like I mentioned in the first one, hopefully the Perseverance rover will be able to head over to the Gale crater and get a closer look at what is going on down there. Maybe we're closer to finding solid proof of alien life than we once thought. In our number 4 spot today we have these Canadian fossils. In Kootenay National Park in Canada in 2018, paleontologists discovered something incredible. This discovery was of course a fossil, and it was carapaces that had been molted onto a long-gone ocean floor that once existed here on Earth. These carapaces belong to some sort of species that is entirely new to science. You see where I'm going with this? It is thought that these fossils came from the Cambrian period 540 million years ago. While it is unlikely these creatures were actually aliens, it seems almost alien that these completely unknown creatures once existed on our planet. And who knows, maybe it really is the fossil of an alien. I mean, I wasn't around 540 million years ago to tell you, so at this point, I'm not really sure. It is debated exactly how these creatures relate to animals we currently have living on this wonderful Earth, which just adds to the mystery of this wonderful find. In our number 3 spot today we have lava tubes. As it turns out, lava tubes may just be where the alien life has been hiding all these years. Besides holding the keys to the answers of a planet's geological history, lava tubes may also host environmental conditions that are relatively stable, which is kind of shocking. This may mean that these lava tubes would be appealing to life forms of all sizes. If a planet like, let's say, Mars ever did host life at one point, it's entirely possible that these life forms may have moved and tried to find a safer place amongst the changing conditions and evolution of Mars. These life forms may have been seeking some kind of haven, and this is where the lava tubes come in. Pascal Lee, a planetary researcher at NASA's Ames Research Center in Mountain View, California, said, quote, "On Mars and other places, lava tubes have the potential to have made the difference between life and death." End quote. Lava tubes, wherever they are found, are scientifically exotic, and it's been said that a mission to another world that also studies these underground features as well as the surface of the planet is like getting 2 planets for the price of 1. Maybe our issue all along is that we've been searching on the planet when we really should be looking at what's going on inside. In our number 2 spot today we have the Sri Lanka fossils. In 2012, scientists from the United Kingdom explained that they had found algae-like fossils inside of meteorite fragments that landed in Sri Lanka. Not only could this potentially have been proof of the existence of alien life, but it also could give indications as to how life on this planet formed, as that truly is one of the mysteries we still don't really have answers to. There are a few theories as to how life began, and they include the theory that life spontaneously erupted from inorganic molecules somehow, that life came here on a comet or an asteroid, or that some sort of alien civilization directly sent an asteroid here that contained life. Although this last one is the least likely, it's the one I'm most hoping for. Anyway, this fossil discovery may be holding the keys to this mystery we've long awaited the answers to. In our number 1 spot today we have the Australia fossils. 3.5 billion years ago, Earth wasn't exactly a great place to live. That is no shade to the beautiful planet we call home, it was just a different time. There were a lot of volcanic eruptions, not a lot of oxygen, and a pretty high chance of getting hit by an asteroid. Despite all of this and this extreme environment, something happened that allowed life to form and evolve here. This has led scientists to believe that surely this has also happened on other planets. Right? Fossils found in Australia, which were dated back 3.5 billion years ago, are the earliest direct evidence of life on Earth. This alone is crazy and exciting, but the research done on these fossils showed that not all of these fossilized organisms were the same. Some were primitive photosynthesizers and others produced methane. This shows that not only was life forming at this time, but that it had an easy time doing so. Scientists can't be sure about how much earlier life could have been formed here, but if the conditions are right, it seems as though these fossils fossils prove that it's not exactly difficult for it to happen, and that life in the universe should be pretty widespread. The organisms in the fossils probably wouldn't like life on Earth so much now, but it does show that life can form and thrive under conditions we would think of as unlivable.
Number 10. A bunch of paintings. Look, I might get into trouble for this, either from you or from my own family, but hey, I'm just saying what the internet says. We're talking about aliens here, so let's dabble in some speculation, shall we? Art imitates life, or so the saying goes, which is why some believe, based on depictions of Christ, that he was visited by aliens, or even maybe was one, I don't know! There, I said it. The examples I'm going to talk about are the Baptism of Christ, painted in the 1700s, and the Madonna and Saint Giovannino. The Baptism of Christ by Ert de Gelder literally shows the image of a flying saucer sending beams or lasers of light shining down on baby Jesus. Doesn't look like a sun if you ask me. Then the painting of the Madonna I mentioned, painted by Domenico Ghirlandaio 200 years earlier, literally has a flying saucer in the background. There's even a shepherd taking a minute off in the corner just like, ooh, what's that? What is it supposed to mean? And why does this image keep turning up? Because it's gonna keep showing up in the other ones we mentioned, so let's keep going. Number 9. The spaceship panel in Seti. This is one of the weirdest series of hieroglyphic panels ever discovered. In the Temple of Seti in Abydos, Egypt, there is a panel that depicts images that look all too familiar. While some of them are a little more ambiguous, the image of a helicopter and what looked like cars the Jetsons would have driven really stand out. This caused a lot of pseudo-archaeologists to freak out because they finally had proof that the ancient Egyptians had encountered advanced technology. But more legit archaeologists continue to debunk this theory by saying that the drawings were actually a result of edited carvings. The translation even means, "He who protects Egypt and overthrows the foreign countries." I think the jury is still out on this one, to be honest. What do you guys think? Number 8. The Vatican's secret archives. Okay, I could have picked one or two, but all of it, just all of it, we just don't know what's in there. I'm putting the Vatican secret archives on this list because there is for sure evidence in that library that asks a lot of questions, or maybe even answers some. You can actually get access to them, it just takes, I don't know, the 12 trials of Hercules to get approved. Then you have to fly to Rome and go through each page by hand. There are thousands of historical documents with secrets the Vatican kept hidden from prying eyes. For example, in the 17th century, Pope Paul V ordered a select collection of documents to be sealed from the public until 1881. Researchers believe that there are documents so explosive that they threaten the doctrine of the Catholic Church. They may even contain information on messages that Giordano Bruno, we will get to him in a minute, received from extraterrestrials. The Vatican archives also contain secrets pertaining to the Fatima mystery, which brings us to the Fatima mystery. In 1917, 3 children apparently saw an apparition of the Virgin Mary in a field. Their vision prompted 70,000 people to visit the same sheep pasture and stated that they saw a spinning silver disc in the sky. The children apparently received a message from the specter that said, "We are here, we have been since thousands of years ago, and that they will return again." This entire story went to the Vatican, but apparently they censored the messages. The children received 3 messages, but the Pope refused to release the 3rd and final one, which apparently mentions the existence of extraterrestrial life. Why would they censor such a message? Can one believe in both the existence of a higher being and alien life? Apparently the Vatican doesn't think so, though we will never know until the day we finally get a hand on those documents. Giordano Bruno. Giordano Bruno was a bit of an enigma. His radical ideas and futuristic thinking have many people today wondering if he's actually a time traveler or an alien. We don't know. Bruno was born in 1548 and lived until the year 1600 and was considered one of the most adventurous thinkers of the Renaissance. I know that's not ancient, but it's old, okay? So there. I couldn't help but talk about it, so thank you for indulging me. Stemming from Copernicus's heliocentric theory, Bruno believed in a new philosophy. It disproved Aristotelian natural philosophy and supported the idea that the universe was infinite animate, and had loads of solar systems like our own. What's even weirder is that Bruno even foretold theories like the many worlds hypothesis hundreds of years before quantum mechanics was even considered a thing. He even theorized about atoms and molecules. Needless to say, his radical ideas weren't welcomed by the church, especially since most of his theories were correct. Like they are, a lot of them are. No wonder people think he's a time traveler. How on earth did these ideas even get into his head? Number 5. Rock paintings in India. Archaeologists were stunned when they came across ancient rock carvings dating over 10,000 years old in a cave in Raipur. What made their jaws drop to the floor? The stark possibility that these drawings depict the visitation of ancient aliens and UFOs. NASA and the ISRO, aka the Indian Space Research Center, are trying to learn more about their origins, of course. Due diligence is key when it comes to claims like these. But upon first glance, these beings look as though they are humanoid creatures wearing spacesuits. Beliefs in the surrounding village vary, but many people believe that they are a depiction of the Rohilla people. The Rohilla people, or the small-sized ones, were people who allegedly used to land from the sky in round-shaped flying objects and steal 2 people from the village, and they'd never return. Number 4. The Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is one of the most mysterious ancient discoveries of all time. Found 150 feet below the surface at the Aegean Sea, divers discovered a shipwreck. During the excavation, scientists discovered one of the oldest recorded computers, dating back to 7th century BC. It was determined to be a kind of analog computer used to predict astronomical events. According to author David Childress, for scientists, this finding was equivalent to finding a jet plane in King Tut's tomb. It changed how they perceived ancient history. Due to its stark complexity, alien enthusiasts believe that this technology must have been passed down from superior beings. So, aliens. The device was replicated in order to unravel the mystery, and even more shockingly, the device could calculate the position and running time of each planet. How could a pre-epoch civilization be able to create such a device without the use of sophisticated astronomical tools? You're thinking it, I'm just saying it. Aliens. Ba-bam. Before we uncover our top 3, remember, if you like this video, do us a favor, smash that like button, punch it, poke it, boop it, whatever you want to do, and subscribe to stay up to date. It really helps us out, and we love you for it. Now for our top 3. The moving statues of Rhodes. So this actually relates to the one I just talked about. So this is cool, I'm getting 2 points in one. This relates actually to the Antikythera mechanisms, as researchers believe that the ship it was found on originates from Rhodes. Move over, Atlantis! According to some, the island of Rhodes contains some of the most advanced technology of the time. Apparently the statues would suddenly just come to life, which implies that they developed some kind of machinery over 2,000 years ago, around 1500 years too soon for any kind of robotics. Legend says that the people earned the technology from the gods, though what they could have considered gods may have been something extraterrestrial in nature. Number 2. An iron dagger. When archaeologists began excavating King Tut's tomb, it was not surprising to find many elaborate and delicate objects, but one artifact stands out from the rest: an iron dagger, delicately laid in gold with a beautiful golden sheath. Iron is a very commonplace material today. In fact, not a day goes by where we don't come in contact with it at some point. But at the time this dagger was made, the ancient Egyptians were 200 years away from the Iron Age. Iron was incredibly rare. Then they discovered ancient hieroglyphs alluding to the dagger being given to them from the heavens. Now you see where I'm going with this. The composition of the dagger was tested and they found iron, but also included nickel and cobalt, in exactly the combination that is found in meteorites. The riddle now makes sense, as the iron came from space, but where did it land? Archaeologists continue to theorize its location, though the jury is still out. So how else could they have gotten it? And last but not least, geoglyphs. Geoglyphs are massive versions of petroglyphs, which are small drawings carved into the earth and rock. They appear all over the world in every culture. The most famous example of geoglyphs are the Nazca lines in Peru, which we've talked about on this channel before. If you find the video, post it down below to help each other out. The Nazca lines are the most popular due to the sheer size of them and variety, and many believe they hint at alien life. One of them is literally called the astronaut because that's exactly what it looks like. But to give you some more examples, there is the massive Uffington White Horse found in Britain dating back to 11,000 BC, the works of the Old Men discovered in Jordan in the 1900s. I could go on, they're everywhere. Maybe we should do a video. Let me know if you want to. In most cases, the lines are so precise and clear that many wonder how these ancient civilizations constructed these designs when we only discovered their existence when we learned how to fly, or fly in airplanes, that is. One answer seems to make the most sense. They needed somebody above being like, move there, carve there, that one needs a little more. Aliens. Duh. The biggest question I have stemming from this list revolves around the images that keep turning up all throughout history. Why flying saucers? Where did that image come from if not from spaceships in the sky? Why when we see pre-epoch drawings on caves or devices beyond our understanding, does something inside us suspect it came from somewhere else?
Starting us off at number 10 are the ancient Egyptians. Arguably my favorite ancient civilization, maybe tied with the Greeks and the Romans. I mean, they had the femme fatale Cleopatra as their leader, so hello girl power. Their pyramids were a feat in and of themselves. They worshipped cats like I would fit right in there. Now, the ancient Egyptian civilization existed between 3150 BC and 30 BC and is one of the oldest civilizations on this list. They functioned as a series of stable kingdoms before Upper and Lower Egypt became unified. Achievement-wise, I think we look to Egypt for a lot of art, culture, and other societal advancements. Their irrigation systems were before their time, they practiced effective medicine, they even made the earliest known peace treaty, but the one achievement the world is still truly amazed by are their construction techniques. The pyramids and the Sphinx are freaking incredible. I've never seen them in real life, but I really want to. But it's widely believed that the pyramids were made by moving huge stones to the location and lifting them into place. But skeptics believe it was aliens that built the pyramids because how on earth can an ancient civilization accomplish an architectural feat like that? Yeah, aliens could have come and built them, or the ancient Egyptians could have been aliens themselves. Coming in at number 9 are the ancient Greeks, and boy did I love learning about them too. We had this Roman Greek day in my primary school, so my mum made me a cute toga and stuff for me to wear, and not gonna lie, I was the most fashionable person in year 5 that day. No cap. It's the truth. Now, the ancient Greek civilization existed from 2700 BC to 479 BC and was the epicenter of many things we still do today, most notably the Olympics and the concept of democracy. The Parthenon, their sculptures, they laid the foundations for modern physics, geometry, and biology. They had people like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Archimedes, thinkers and philosophers we still quote a lot today. Now, how is it possible that this civilization had so many great minds and ideas? Isn't the common belief that the older the civilization, the more almost backward and clueless they were? That's not true from any angle with the Greeks, which makes me think about aliens. We've always believed their intelligence is way more advanced than ours, and so what if the ancient Greek civilization was speckles with some aliens that gave them the ideas that humans needed in order to progress forward? Did they help us? Dramatic gasp. At number 8 we have the Indus Valley Civilization. This famous civilization existed between 3300 BC and 1900 BC and was located in current day northeast Afghanistan, Pakistan, and northwest India. This one is one of the oldest on the list. It's like in the top 3 along with Egypt and Mesopotamia. At the time it was the biggest civilization since it spread over 1.25 million kilometers, and since the people were settled around the Indus River basin, they had a good source of food and water. I can't say this one is ancient because unlike the others on this list that ended, this one is still going. It was mostly farming settlements in 4000 BC, but by 2600 BC there were a ton of cities built everywhere. In fact, it often had the best scientific achievements out of all the civilizations, and they were arguably the most prosperous out of all of them. They were known for their extensive urban planning, drainage systems, non-residential buildings, handicrafts, and more. Like, these mans have commercial buildings out here, like why? Shouldn't you be trying to figure out how to create fire? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Prehistoric rock paintings found in Chirama show humans wearing what look like modern spacesuits and drawings of UFOs. Now, why would they be there unless the civilization had seen these things or come into contact with them already? Perhaps they came from them. Filling on number 7 slot is the Incan civilization, and me and producer Chris really don't know if it's Incan or Incan, so yeah. We had that back and forth. Guys, I'm just gonna switch it up throughout the paragraph. Whatever comes to me instinctually is just gonna come to me, you know what I mean? Also known as current day Peru, Ecuador, and Chile. The Incan civilization spanned between 1438 AD and 1533 AD, and its empire was the largest South American empire because it truly flourished in every way. It was well established, they transformed the capital from a village to a city shaped like a puma. They were an expansionist civilization that assimilated other cultures into theirs quite seamlessly, and that's something we have trouble doing even now. The Incans' military, trade, and fishing were highly advanced, but again the most impressive feature about them was their architecture, making things like Machu Picchu and the city of Cusco. Machu Picchu is a citadel located on top of a 7,940-foot mountain range and was initially built as a royal estate for an emperor. They made the whole thing on fractured rocks and somehow used local materials to bind them together and fit, which is pretty impressive. Their road system was also very well made, so it begs the question, did they have extraterrestrial help? Are they extraterrestrials themselves? We don't know. Now at number 6 is the Aztec civilization. Now it's only fitting we talk about the Aztecs right after the Incans, since they were emerging around the same time the Incans were really establishing themselves. The Aztec civilization was located where current day Mexico is during 1345 AD to 1521 AD. Ironically, at the end of the 1200s, the civilization was actually made up of 3 rivaling cities. We have Texcoco, Tlacopan, and Tenochtitlan. Guys, slow clap for me for pronouncing those. Good for me. Now 125 years later, the people of these cities banded together and created a new state which arose to prominence as the Mayans fell. Tenochtitlan was the military hub of the Aztec civilization and was the place which decided what the next conquest would be. Their reach even spread to places like Guatemala and Chiapas. The Spanish came in the 1500s, bringing about the decline of the Aztecs, but that wasn't before they made their mark. They built incredible temples, their art was unmatched, and their construction techniques were also on point, but nothing super alien-y. Now let's jump forward to 1947 and the Roswell UFO incident. What if the ancient Aztecs were aliens and left Earth after the Spanish conquered them? Maybe they finally decided to return hundreds of years later, but the attempt backfired. Why Roswell of all places? Coming in at number 5 is the Persian civilization. Honestly, anytime I hear the word Persia, my mind immediately goes to the Prince of Persia game because I played it so much when I was younger. Anyway, the Persian civilization existed between 550 BC and 331 BC, and it was located where modern day Iran is, which I feel like is a bit of a no-brainer. Now, once upon a time, this civilization was actually the most powerful one in the world and took over 2 million square miles of land. At their peak, they controlled Egypt and all of Central Asia. They expanded so freaking quickly in the space of 200 years, which is really nothing, but it's not their empire and military might that impresses me, it's their architecture and art. I absolutely love all Persian architecture. They're so intricate, colorful, and you can just feel how culturally rich they are. A lot of complex instruments, music, and dances originated from there, and I mean their rugs are basically in every person's household. My house back home has 18 Persian rugs, like what even is that? What even is that? Iran, it seems to be a place where UFOs have tended to lean towards. In 1976, there was a radar and visual sighting of a UFO over Tehran, but anytime aircraft tried to get near it, there would be electromagnetic interference. Then, a few years later, thousands of people saw what looked like a UFO in the sky. Then the same thing happened again in 2003, and there's so many more instances. Why are all these UFOs just attracted to Iran? Do they have ties? And number 4 is the civilization of Atlantis, parentheses, question mark, parentheses. Not the luxury hotel resort and water park, the underwater lost kingdom. Now Plato first mentioned Atlantis in 360 BC, and it was meant to be an insanely powerful kingdom with technology more advanced than ours and an unmatchable navy. Fast forward around 9600 BC, a terrible disaster hits and the island sank into the sea, never to be seen again. Many teams have tried to find Atlantis over the years, notably a man called Jacobovici, who dove into the Marianas Trench. All he found was 6 Bronze Age stone anchors near Spain, which seemed to have come from a civilization existing 4,000 years ago, which was way off. But many people believe because their technology was so advanced, they found a way to disappear to us but still exist by themselves. Perhaps they cracked the code to living completely underwater and invisible as humans, and that's what they've been doing since 9600 BC, who knows? Plato never clarified how advanced was. Many people also believe an underwater tomb belonging to one of Atlantis' early leaders is the entrance to the hidden kingdom. But all this seems far beyond the capability of any civilization, no matter how advanced they are. Doesn't seem too far-fetched for an alien civilization though, and maybe the entrance to the underwater tomb can only be opened by one of them. Maybe they fled Atlantis and hid it because they were going to return to it one day. Filling our number 3 slot is the Maya civilization. Now I thought it was Mayan as well, but apparently in modern day society we call it Maya. Maybe wrongly famous for making everyone think the world was going to end in 2012, this civilization existed between 2600 BC and 900 AD and was located in parts of current day Mexico and Central/South America. They peaked at around 2600 BC and had a population of 19 million people, which was insane. By 700 BC they had created their own writing system, which they then used to make solar calendars. In terms of art, any Maya art is exclusively to do with their elite population. The society specialized in craft, which is why their architecture is as amazing as it is. It was estimated back then that it would take 67 days for men to build a commoner's hut, but around 10,686 days to build an elite person's residence. But the urban city of Tikal would have taken millions of man days, which begs the question of how did they do it? I'm guessing they had help. There are also tombs located under some of their structures which haven't been opened yet, which has me thinking that whoever locked them will come back for their contents one day. Now at number 2 is the Mesopotamian civilization. Known as the first civilization in the world, it existed from 3500 BC to 500 BC and it was located in present-day Turkey, Iraq, and Syria. Sumerian was the earliest language and they were surprisingly modern when it came to gender roles. Both men and women had to learn how to read and write, which I mean slow clap to you, we went really backwards after that before we finally got back to that path. Art existed way before Mesopotamia, but that's because it was part of human culture, not civilization. They refined it and formalized it and made art a thing. They excelled at maths too, using a sexagesimal numeral system, aka with a base of 60. That's why an hour has 60 minutes, a day has 24 hours, and a circle is 360 degrees. Facts. Mesopotamians even figured out how to control flooding, store water, make glass and lamps, make weapons, and they created the initial laws of the world and the Code of Hammurabi. As the first of their type, I think that's pretty noteworthy. On the other hand, they also believed the earth was a flat disc, but I feel like we can just sweep that under the rug. You know, they achieved a lot more. We can just you know. Believers think that aliens were on the earth before humans, and if that's the case, what if the first civilization was all them, helping us get a head start in this difficult world that we call life? Maybe they're not as bad as we think. And finally, at number 1 are the ancient Romans. Honestly, such a brutal era, but also one of my top 3 favorites for sure. Dubbed as the most powerful ancient civilization, the Roman civilization existed between 550 BC and 465 AD and isn't known for one thing, but many. It went from being an elective monarchy to a democratic republic to a military dictatorship. Like, the Romans have really been through it all. They controlled 5 million square kilometers of land, which had 20% of the world's population in it at the time. The ancient Romans inspired modern republics like France, and the aqueduct and road systems were state of the art for the time. The Romans had some of the greatest emperors in history: Julius Caesar, Augustus, Octavian, and more. Now, as great as they were equally brutal as well. And since their history is so vast and goes so far back, they've had their fair share of alien-related sightings. In 218 BC, philosopher Titus Livius saw a number of gleaming ships in the sky, and it was 218 BC, you guys. You bet your airplanes or satellites weren't even an idea at that time. In 76 BC, Pliny the Elder saw a spark from a falling star. It grew as it ascended till it looked like it was the size of the moon before ascending back up into the sky and to the heavens. That's 2 instances out of the many that I found. So why were aliens trying to communicate with the Romans so bad? Were there people among them?
A new UFO sighting took place tonight. This footage was filmed in the USA. Thermal analysis shows what could be a smaller ship flying around, and a much larger mothership behind it. Save and share this video before it's too late.
Oh my god, that is so scary. Also, why do they have to say save and share this video before it's too late? That just creeps me out. Don't say things like that. Like, that and the music, it just makes me think that it's the end of the world. That looked like an alien ship, and the whole lightning and spooky atmosphere is not helping. Oh no, the aliens are coming. We gotta prepare. We need a secret underground bunker. Shut up, don't say that, Chris. I know, but don't scare me.
A 30-second video from Jharkhand is going viral all over the internet. In the video, a strange, eerie-looking human figure can be seen strolling down the road. The video was apparently recorded on the Chadwa Dam Bridge in the Hazaribagh district by some bikers. Seeing that, some are saying that it is an alien and some are claiming it to be a ghost. After the appearance, there has been a war on the social media sites among the people to determine the exact type of supernatural being that the creature is.
Maybe it's a ghost alien. Maybe it's a ghost and an alien, a ghost alien. Why is it so creepy? Like, it's so lanky and weird. But at the same time, I feel like aliens are more stealthy than that, you know? Like, I feel like it wouldn't just be walking like, oh, da, 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 hey yo, what's up, you know? Like, just for everyone to see. They've been stealthy and hiding themselves for years, potentially, on Earth, so why would they just reveal themselves now? It doesn't really make sense. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe he's just not a good alien. Maybe that's what it is. But it's really creepy. Like, legs were so skinny. Like, that did not look like a human. That looked like a creature of some sort. Ugh. Also, alien, if you're watching this video, just kidding, you're beautiful, love you.
I got it. Oh my gosh. Oh.
What the hell? That strange light in the sky is one of 1,100 UFO sightings in Canada last year. According to the annual survey released by Ufology Research of Manitoba, there are at least 3 such sightings in the country every day.
UFO reports are still a thing. People are reporting them in greater and greater numbers every year.
I'm never going to BC. It's beautiful there, and I was like, I want to go this summer. Yeah, 3 sightings of UFOs per day? Yeah, that's where they're hiding. They're hiding in the wilderness there. Them and the Bigfoot, they're just hiding there together. Or maybe that was Bigfoot roaming through the forest shining his flashlight. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it's not even an alien after all. Maybe it's Bigfoot. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Lindsay Ivan, and today we are looking at the top 10 real alien encounters caught on camera, and it's pretty spooky so far. And if you guys believe in aliens, then make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Also, comment something down below, because I like to read your comments. With that being said, let's dive on into the video.
Just about 4:45, and take a look at this viral video from La Junta in southeastern Colorado. All right, Vivian Gomez wrote on Facebook that her security camera captured this on Sunday morning. There are people on Facebook who say it looks like Dobby from Harry Potter, or a ghost or an alien, or a kid in flip-flops and underwear.
Maybe that. Maybe it's a kid in flip-flops and underwear, like na 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 na. I can't see an alien doing the chicken dance. It has to be a kid. Come on. But also, it does look like Dobby. It's not Dobby. Dobby. I feel like she said it weird. Anyways, it does look like Dobby from Harry Potter. That is a house elf for sure, okay? He was like, Harry Potter must not come to Hogwarts. Bad Dobby, bad Dobby. And then that was him leaving after the cake got. If you know Harry Potter, then you know. What the hell is that? Ew. Oh, I literally got the shills. I literally got the chills watching that. Like, this alien was trying to be stealthy and hide behind some tombstones, but it wasn't working. Look at its head. That is massive. That's a massive alien head. That is terrifying. That's like the creature from Predator. I'm sorry. I don't like that thing at all. That cemetery needs to be burned down. No, just no.
Why does it look like that? I don't get it. I mean, why does it look like that? I mean, it doesn't look like a plane, it looks like a saucer. I just don't get it. Can someone help me figure this one out? I mean, if you think that looks like a plane, I just don't get it. I'm looking at it carefully. And of course, you know, I'm driving in the middle of traffic. I'm trying to get as close as I can to it. And I just cannot figure out what the hell I'm looking at.
That is for sure UFO. Like, that literally looks like a spacecraft. Either that, or it's Ron and Harry going to Hogwarts in their flying car. That's also what it looks like.
Man, we got the freaking house elf, and now we got, like, this is just confirmation that Hogwarts is real. Hogwarts is real, man. Yo, wizard Harry. Yo, wizard Lindsay. I wish I was. Vada Kedavra. Lindsay Porter. Oh my. That is an alien. That's an alien. Either that or someone is really good at special effects and has a really expensive alien costume. Because it doesn't really make sense to me. Wouldn't an alien like be like, oh snap, there's a human, or something, and make them forget? You know, like the Men in Black, how they have the little flashy light. I feel like an alien just like points at you and then you forget that you saw an alien. Wouldn't you think, like, this is just too casual, him just, oh hey, what's up? Yeah, you can videotape me. Make sure you get this angle. Yeah, I'll just do my slow model walk. You know, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Also, this alien looks like the one from Scooby-Doo. It's with the green humanoid head. That's Scooby-Doo. Anyway.
Check out this video from one of our viewers, Mash Hatai. He said he woke up at about 2:30 this morning, get a drink of water, and this is what he saw in the sky. Certainly caught his eye. He took the video from Kaka'ako and thinks the lights were over Central or West Oahu, hard to tell from his vantage point. As you can see, the two bright lights, and then slowly a third light appears. Hatai believes he saw about 8 to 10 of the lights total.
What the hell? Guys, aliens might be real, and it's scary to say that out loud. How else do you explain this? Like, also let me know in the comments below if you've ever had a creepy alien encounter, because now I want to know. Let me know in the comments below.
Something is in the sky. What is that?
This video was taken by Misitina Sape at 8:26 Tuesday night near Haleakala Avenue in Nanakuli. Not long after, a woman named Mariah spotted the same thing passing over Princess Kahanu Estates.
I don't know what it looked like. And then I was like, oh, started calling my husband in because it was all in the garage. I was like, hey, look up there. Let's see what I see. They all said, yeah.
The 38-year-old says she's never really been a believer in UFOs, but the bright blue object had them so intrigued they jumped in the car and started following it.
I don't know what it was. This one was going so fast.
The journey ended less than 3 miles from where it began, on Farrington Highway in front of the Board of Water Supply building, after the object appeared to drop into the ocean.
Oh my god, do the aliens live in the ocean? Like, was it just returning home? Maybe that's why we haven't found them, because they store their spacecraft underwater in the depths in Mariana's Trench. Love that band. But like, in the depths down there, that's where the aliens are hiding, where we can't go. Wow. Maybe that's where they are. Also, they are brave for following this. They're like, yeah, let's just get in the car and follow this potential UFO that could kill us. Yeah, let's just do it. Typical Tuesday.
Now it is darkened outside. Temperatures are sitting at 61 in Buffalo. We have a northerly wind at 7. Good sleeping weather tonight, folks. What was that? Did anybody see that thing go past? Did we just see a shooting star? Good sleeping weather tonight, folks. What was that? Did anybody see that thing?
Nothing impressive compared to the other ones. That was probably just a shooting star. This guy was just trying to hype it up. He's like, how can I make the news more interesting? Whoa, did everyone see that? No, that wasn't a piece of my dandruff flying by the screen. It was actually UFO. So, I'm famous now. I caught it on camera.
The Pentagon has confirmed a strange and unexpected sight captured by Navy personnel off the coast of California. The video shows flying pyramid-shaped objects hovering above the USS Russell and another warship.
It was leaked by filmmaker Jeremy Corbell. He's also shared 3 images from the USS Omaha showing an unknown spherical craft. The Pentagon has confirmed its unidentified aerial phenomena task force, what a task force that is examining the footage.
That guy got really into the story. I think he believes in aliens. He's like, spherical crafts, yeah, aliens. That's literally what he sounded like. The Pentagon revealed that like it was a UFO. But UFO is technically unidentified flying object, so it doesn't mean that it's an ET, it just means that they don't know what the hell it was, which makes me feel better. So maybe it's not aliens, maybe it's just like a drone, I don't know. I'm scared.
Navy pilots say they saw something that defies the limits of known aviation technology.
My gosh.
They've been popping up around our national security facilities and baffling veteran military personnel.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
And civilians, including commercial airline pilots, are also seeing it.
We just had something go right over the top of us.
Here's a rendering of what an American Airlines pilot reported.
I hate to say this, looked like a long cylindrical object. It almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast that went right over the top.
Okay, that scares me for a number of reasons. Number one, they said that there was a whole bunch of them flying in the sky. Hello? Are aliens trying to invade Earth now? Like, why can't we just live side by side in peace? Like, what happened to we come in peace? Like, come on, be a good alien. Number two, what if it's like another country spy? Like, I read about this. It could be another country spying on us through these craft type things. I don't know, either way it's spooky and I'm scared.
An unidentified aerial phenomenon dropped down on the Florida coast. First thing in the morning we drove to the beach to find it. This is what we saw when we got there. We tried to get closer but the officers on the beach saw us. When we got home this man was at our house. For days we have seen suspicious vehicles in front of our place. If anyone knows what we should do, please let us know.
You need to move, that's what you should do. A UFO literally crashed down on the beach by your house. That's time to pack up and leave, okay? And literally they're describing like the men in black coming there and like, oh, so you see anything suspicious lately? Any ETs, UFOs? Let me know. That is scary, seriously. Pack up and get the heck out of there. Again, wait, hold up. I think I just put two and two together. I think I just solved this whole alien thing. Again, it crashed down by water. What if this UFO was trying to enter the water? Like I said before, aliens actually live deep down below in the ocean. Again, this kind of proves it. So, just saying. Just saying.
Kicking off the list at number 10, ancient Sumerians. The Mesopotamian civilization was formed in what's now Iraq and Kuwait. Now these civilizations began around the Neolithic Revolution, so around 12,000 BCE, give or take. Now sometimes it's referred to as the cradle of civilization because Mesopotamia was one of the first places to develop agriculture, being right in the middle of Egyptian and Indus Valley civilizations. So of course there are these ancient Sumerian tablets, and in these tablets we start to question our own history. In 1842, British archaeologist Austin Henry Layard discovered ruins of this great royal archive, just thousands of tablets made of clay. Pretty much the world's oldest overdue library books, just so dusty. These tablets showed Sumerians engaging in a social night. This scene here depicts a banquet from around 2600 BC. That was actually the world's first bender, believe it or not, fun fact. Ancient gods of Mesopotamia were said to have wings and the ability to control all of humanity. These gods were the Anunnaki, and some believe they were 8 feet tall, and they're also aliens from another planet. The Sumerians wrote one of the oldest tales in human history. They wrote the Epic of Gilgamesh, so maybe these alien gods inspired them, perhaps. I don't know. I'd probably write a book if 8-foot-tall winged gods landed in my crops. I'd probably write 2 books, in fact. Number 9, Sumer. The National Museum of Iraq is home to many ancient artifacts, and it has the Nimrod gold collection, just this fancy jewelry from the 9th century. It also has Uruk tablets from 3000 BCE, and these ancient jars with mysterious designs, one of which was this. This piece was made around 4000 BC, and it shows a creature that resembles a human, or an alien. It's basically got big eyes, lanky arms, a long body, a long neck. Is this me? Am I a time traveler? What's going on here? Many believe that this is evidence of early visitors. Even an Iraqi minister claimed that ancient Sumerians would visit Pluto in advanced spacecraft 1,000 years back. Their transport minister told reporters that the world's first ancient alien airport was built there in 5000 BC. That's a hard fact. The civilization of Sumer, according to Kazim Finjan, was an alien airport. Nice, sounds good. Be there soon. Quick pit stop at Uranus. Lol. Number 8, the Madonna with Saint Giovanni. For this next one, we'll be taking a look at a painting from the 15th century, #art. By artist Domenico Ghirlandaio, this painting is currently in the Hall of Hercules in Palazzo Vecchio in Florence. The painting shows the Virgin Mary, the infant Jesus, and St. John the Baptist. Now the baby Jesus was lying on the woman's garments, and over her right shoulder we can see this object floating in the sky. And what's even more interesting is that a man is looking up at said object, and he's even covering his eyes from the sun to get a better look. Also, this dog is barking at this object in the sky, so something is afoot. Art historians believe the flying saucer is an angel resembling a cloud, while others believe it's a clear sign of alien visitors. What do you guys think? Was this the 15th century version of drawing the sun at the top corner of your painting? Or did this mystery artist document UFO footage with his own brush? Sound off in the comments below. Number 7, the pyramids of Egypt. Built over 4,500 years ago, the pyramids of Giza are these massive tombs where ancient pharaohs and queens were laid to rest. Around 15 million visitors get an up-close look at these beautiful structures once a year, and for a long time, we've speculated just how these incredible things were built. Well, Tesla CEO Elon Musk put forth his hot take on the matter, and he claims the landmark was built by aliens. The guy's pretty much an alien himself. A guy who launches cars into space for fun also believes in aliens. July 31st, 2020, Elon simply tweeted, "Aliens built the pyramids, obvi." Now, since that tweet, Egypt's International Cooperation Minister has called out Elon, asking for him and the rest of SpaceX to check out the tombs of the pyramid builders. Until the early 20th century, the pyramid built for the pharaoh Khufu was the largest building on the planet. Laborers had to move 6.5 million tons of stone with only wood and rope. The three largest pyramids of Giza have a deep connection as well to the cosmos. The stars of the constellation Orion were once associated with Osiris, the ancient Egyptian god of rebirth and afterlife. Another huge theory is that an advanced race of aliens came to Earth with all this future technology, and that's how they were able to build these pyramids. Which I gotta say, I kind of believe that more. That's pretty, I can't even lift a box without pulling my back out, let alone a pyramid. Number 6, Antikythera mechanism. After being submerged for over 2,000 years, we believe we found the oldest known analog computer. In 1901, near the Greek island Antikythera, divers found a Roman shipwreck full of treasure, jewelry, statues, and an ancient planetary alignment device. In 1959, Derek de Soya Price discovered its true purpose. Now, for many years, nobody really knew what this thing was, obviously. It looks like rusted junk. It was to keep track of the planets and the moon. They didn't have a horoscope app back then to look at while they're on the bus. They had to align this mechanism with the month of the year. Now, one of the gears was specifically designed to keep track of when the next Olympics are, which is pretty hilarious. You can never be too early, I guess. Of course, there's theories that aliens left this piece of technology behind because of how advanced it is, and that would make sense. They came to Earth to watch the Olympics, watch some guy huck a javelin, some deep space entertainment. I back this theory, let's do it. Number 5, the Nazca line. We've all heard of alien crop circles at one point or another. I mean, I myself remember watching the movie Signs when I was younger and I couldn't sleep for like 13 years. I don't know. So this next one obviously freaked me out. Just 200 miles southeast of Peru, we can find hundreds of markings etched into the earth. They're massive pieces of art, like crop circles, but more intimidating, one would say. The biggest ground graffiti spans over 1,200 feet, and many believe this was an ancient ritual for water. Given its location, that theory certainly checks out. Another theory, written in 1968 in Eric von Daniken's book Chariot of the Gods, suggests that ancient Nazca was a site for alien visitors, which is why we're here now. Leaving behind knowledge in the form of these massive doodles, as well as technology like we talked about earlier. Number 4, Sacsayhuaman. Located in Peruvian Andes, this fortress was built by the Inca way back in the 15th century, just outside of the Inca capital of Cusco. It was made out of these massive, giant rocks, but the intriguing part is just how these rocks connect with one another. They looked perfectly chiseled to fit, almost like it was broken and then pieced back together. These 1,000-year-old walls are made of incredibly heavy stone, over 350 tons each, and they weren't just rolled down a hill or two, they had to be moved more than 20 miles to make up this fortress. We've recently discovered that ropes and pulley systems were used, they were definitely a part in this, but we also have to mention the elongated skulls that were found in the 1920s by archaeologist Giulio Citella. Were these skulls formed using binding techniques, or is this an alien graveyard for the builders of said fortress? Who knows? Number 3, Easter Island, Moai. These massive ancient statues have been quite popular in pop culture. They're pretty interesting to look at, but they're also pretty creepy. Reaching up to 13 feet tall and weighing over 80 tons, the indigenous Rapa Nui claim that these statues once roamed the land. That is so scary. 18th century Europeans had no idea how these things were built, but many were convinced that these statues were moving by themselves. Are aliens levitating these stones? Are they playing the world's largest game of chess? Or did humans somehow move these 1,000-pound rocks around with just their hands and they just pushed them as hard as they could? Another theory is that aliens of course built this in their own image, which is pretty badass. They're like, here, look at these giant statues, remember our faces. Number 2, Chichen Itza. Once a booming city with a diverse population, Chichen Itza was a Mayan city located in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. Now the Itza were a group of Mayans who had power in the northern part of the peninsula, right where this city was. Its main attraction is of course this ancient pyramid. If you've seen the movie The Ruins, you'll recognize this area and also get goosebumps. Instead of evil plant life, the pyramid does include signs of alien life. These hieroglyphs included advanced mathematics, and they say that it was bestowed upon them from the gods. Recently, about 200 artifacts were discovered in a cave under Chichen Itza, and also a lost city the size of Manhattan was found underground. The most interesting claim of alien life are these UFO landing sites also hidden deep in the surrounding jungles. Aliens definitely built this, and this is where they first lived. That's my claim. And finally, number 1, the lost city of the Incas. Currently a wonder of the modern world, Machu Picchu was built over 500 years ago. It was first discovered in 1911 by archaeologist Hiram Bingham when he and a small team were originally heading out to find the ancient city of Vilcabamba. But during their commute from Cuzco, they found this landmark. Many of these stones, of course, weighed a lot, over 50 tons, and with Machu Picchu translating to Old Mountain, this seems like an impossible build from the Inca. The city is designed perfectly. I mean, after 500 years of foul weather, even earthquakes have yet to destroy this ancient city. It's pretty impressive. Just like in the Peruvian Andes, elongated skulls were too found at this site. Another sign of Inca royalty or another sign of alien builders. You already know my guess.
Starting off this countdown, we have Spring-Heeled Jack. Was Spring-Heeled Jack a mere legend to scare kids and adults, or was he actually a real person? You decide. So back in Victorian England, they had to worry about this terrifying man that would visit homes in the middle of the night. This man would ring the doorbell, and when someone would answer it, he would attack them. He was given the name Spring-Heeled Jack, as witnesses said he had the ability to jump great distances and heights. Victims say he looked like a man dressed in red shoes and armor. Others claim he would wear loose-fitting black clothes with a helmet. He was also described as having a wicked smile. The very first sighting of Spring-Heeled Jack was in October of 1837. A woman named Mary Stevens was walking in her town when a tall man in a coat jumped down from a building right in front of her. He then attacked her and even tried to kiss her. Kinda weird. Someone heard her screams of terror and thankfully came to her rescue. They both saw Jack leap away. After this, more and more women fell victim to Jack. One in fact described him as wearing a very tight-fitted outfit that resembled white oilskin. Well, what if it wasn't an outfit he was wearing, but that was his cold, pale alien skin? This, along with the fact that he could leap and jump high and far distances, is what led people to believe Jack might have been an alien. Moving on to number 9, we have the Lightning Man. Roy Cleveland Sullivan was a well-known forest ranger in Virginia for one reason. He had an attraction to lightning. Over his years, he had been struck by lightning 7 times. 7. And every time, he has been pretty much left uninjured. How is that even possible unless he's not a human? So the first time he got struck was in 1942. He was completely fine, he just lost a nail off of his big toe. Then 27 years later he got struck again. The only thing that happened to him this time was he lost the hair on his eyebrows. Then in 1970 he was struck again. His only injury was a small burn on his left shoulder. In 1972 it happened again and his hair was set on fire. So on and so on. So first off, why does lightning seem to be attracted to him? And 2, how has he managed to survive every strike? Well, there are a couple of theories out there. One is that maybe he's an alien. Maybe his alien buddies from space keep zapping him with their space lasers trying to get him to come back home. And that's why he's never killed. He's not even human at all. He's an alien. In our 8th spot today we have Akhenaten. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then smash that like button. It's believed that Pharaoh Akhenaten was not only in contact with aliens that were controlling him, but that maybe he was an alien himself. Now, if you look at the way he was depicted in ancient Egyptian drawings, it was different than all the other pharaohs and gods. They were often depicted as majestic gods, you know, they were good looking and they were muscular. Akhenaten is drawn the opposite. He's drawn with an elongated face and head, a long neck, small ribs, and a protruding belly. Why would they draw him like this? It must have been an accurate depiction of what he actually looked like, or else that's just insulting. The main fact that people were fixated on though was his elongated skull. Yes, back in the day some cultures would reshape their heads and faces, but they aren't able to add density to their heads. Akhenaten had a disproportionately large head that could not have been created by skull reshaping. So a number of people believe that Akhenaten was an alien, and he was sent down to rule ancient Egypt. Coming in at number 7 we have Osiris. The depictions of Osiris were always quite unusual because he was drawn with green skin. As a result, people think that he's out of this world. What else has green skin? Aliens. For starters, Osiris was the god of the underworld. He was a symbol of death and resurrection. As a result, he was depicted as a mummified bearded king holding a shepherd's crook and whip. According to a famous legend, he was actually killed by his brother, who tore his body into 14 pieces. But in the end, he was resurrected by his wife. Now, if this story is true and not an actual myth, isn't it suspicious that a man with green skin died and then magically came back to life? As a result, a number of people believe that he was indeed an alien. In our sixth spot today, we have Nina Kulagina. Nina Kulagina was famous in the 1960s for having psychic powers. She had the powers of telekinesis, so she could move objects using her mind. On a number of occasions, she demonstrated her powers in front of people. She would place an object on the table and would be able to move it from one end to another. Obviously, you had skeptics, so every time she performed this trick, she was carefully observed. She was able to move matches, small boxes, and cigarettes. Even the Russian military got involved and would study her. In the end, she was actually recruited by the Soviet government to work for them. So how could it be that this woman had these powers? Maybe it's because she's an alien. We're now at our fifth and halfway mark with George Gurdjieff. George was a 20th century mystic and philosopher. He was known for teaching something known as the fourth way. Basically, he believed that humans had a way to become more elite, that we just needed to awaken to a higher state of consciousness, and then we would be able to achieve full human potential. So the fourth way taught his disciples all about this. He talked about how we need to free our soul and increase and focus our intention to prevent absent-mindedness. From there, we would be a step closer to becoming a more elite form of humans. Now, what's eerie is that he never talked about the origins of his teachings. He wanted it all to be discreet. In fact, there are no traces of the schools he even went to. So what's the deal with this guy? Was he an alien trying to help humans advance or what? Moving on to number 4, we have Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was a great, intelligent, and super talented artist and inventor. In fact, some believe that he was a little too intelligent for his time. So they believe he was an alien that was sent to Earth from space to help humans advance. For example, he proposed many modern day inventions in the late 1400s. That's hundreds of years before they were actually created. He came up with the idea of a tank, helicopters, submarines, self-propelled carts, aka cars, and machine guns. Maybe he already knew all about these inventions because aliens, being the advanced species that they are, already created them. Da Vinci's goal was then to share his insight on these inventions with the world. The only question is, why would the aliens want to help us? Coming in at number 3, we have Amelia Earhart. Amelia was a well-known American aviator who set numerous flying records. She is one of the most well-known explorers, and her disappearance has caused ongoing wonder. In 1937, Amelia set out with her navigator, Fred Noonan, to fly around the world. They were last heard from on July 2nd, 1937. 2 years later, she was declared dead. However, they never found her body. They just assumed that their plane crashed somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. Nonetheless, they still spent 15 years looking for the pair. In fact, searching for Earhart was the largest and most expensive search in American history. Now, there's this absolutely wild theory out there that Amelia and Fred were both aliens, and they actually set out on this mission with no intentions of ever coming back. They actually needed to get back to their home planet, which is why their plane or bodies have never been found to this day. In our second spot today, we have the magical healer. John D. Reese of Ohio was known for having the touch of God. Just by touching people, he had the power to heal a number of injuries and maladies. It all started in 1887. One of his friends fell off of a ladder and seriously injured his spine. His physician took a look at it and declared he had a severe spinal strain, but it was miraculously cured one day when Reese, for some reason, ran his fingers up and down the man's back. Instantaneously, the man's pain was gone and he was able to get up and move around no problem. Another person he healed was a shortstop of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He suffered a bad back injury mid-game and actually had to be carried out from the field. Again, John ran his fingers up and down his spine and he was magically cured. He also cured a politician's weak hand and wrist from overuse. Doctors told him he needed to rest his hand for weeks to get the strength back, but John touched his hand and it was instantly better. So this dude must have been an alien with magical powers or something, because how else could he cure people in an instant? And in our number 1 spot today, we have Count of Saint Germain. This guy is undeniably one of the most mysterious men in history. So Saint Germain was a philosopher that apparently had the ability to teleport, levitate, and walk through walls. Not only that, he's said to be immortal. Apparently he discovered the secret of alchemy and created an elixir that would grant eternal life to whoever drank it. Now, we don't know much about him. Some people say he was born in the 1690s, whereas other people believe he was around during the birth of Jesus. One thing that's certain, he has appeared a number of times throughout history when he should have been dead. For example, it was 1760 and Saint Germain was invited for a soiree at the home of Madame de Pompadour, the mistress of King Louis XV of France. Now the Countess was shocked when she met him because he looked exactly the same, which was impossible because she met the Count in 1710 in Venice. When she met him, he was 45 years old. He shouldn't have been alive, but there he was and he had not aged a day. She was totally in shock by this, as anyone would be. Over the next 40 years, Saint Germain traveled all throughout Europe and never aged a day. Most recently in 1972, a man named Richard Chanfray claimed that he was the one and only Count. He even went on to turn lead into gold on a camp stove to prove he was this legendary Count with magical powers. So due to the fact that this dude has magical powers and never ages and seems to be immortal, people believe that he is in fact an alien.